author's note.
Don't listen.
My name is Cass.
And my name is Teese.
Teese!
Cass!
We got some housekeeping to do before we get started.
We sure do.
So, a wonderful listener pointed out on YouTube that we seemed a little bit nicer to Anne Rice, especially in comparison to Lin-Manuel Miranda in our Hamilton episode. And that was a totally valid criticism. Mm-hmm. And I read that and was like, oh crap, you're right. I think I was a little too caught up in how hysterical the notion of Anne Rice's very dogged harassment was that I didn't stop and think about like the very real harm it did, and that she quite literally doxed people.
Yeah.
And still seems to continue to harass people based on what information we know, be that through Amazon reviews or what have you. Anne Rice sucks. Like,
plain and simple.
She is a human being, yes, but like the way she treats a lot of her fan base is totally unacceptable, and her ego seems to be pretty wide-reaching. I think it's one thing where also, as we've gone through and done this podcast, I think we've tried to gentle ourselves a little bit so we don't come on too strong and too negative, but like Anne Rice has done harm to people and there is no denying that. And so I certainly apologize if it seems like I was making a joke of the terrible treatment she put a lot of people through for something that is absolutely totally arbitrary and ridiculous, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. You put it perfectly, I have to say.
Thank you. The other thing is,
yeah.
I was playing Final Fantasy XIV, and we were running Praetorium, and that might not mean anything to many of you, but to those of you who do play Final Fantasy XIV, Praetorium is full of unskippable cutscenes, so a lot of times you're just sitting there waiting. But something that always helps pass the time is talking to random people and strangers in chat. And when my friends and I were running Praetorium, we came across a player named Bro Yancey. Thank you, Bro Yancey, for your incredible glamour. You were in a frog outfit, and I promised you I would shout you out on the podcast, and I am. So thank you, Bro Yancey of Lamia. You are absolutely delightful. What a wonderful evening that was. We could not stop laughing. It was delightful.
Thank you, Bro Yancey. I don't know anything about Final Fantasy XIV, but my house
logged in once, got scared.
Literally. They were speaking in too many accents, and Cockroach Catty has auditory processing issues. Couldn't do it.
Urianger rolling up like Thancred.
What does that mean?
Stola hath proclaimed.
What does that mean?
It's my turn, pawn yonder Xbox.
My little housekeeping is that I'm in a zine, guys. You're interested in a maritime horror zine, please pre-order it. Pre-orders are open for the next 2 months. It's at Sideshow Pub, and you could actually go on their Gumroad to pre-order, which is gumroad.com/sideshow. So I wanted to promote that first before we started. But also, this episode is patron funded, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
This is our patron poll for April. I had to think about what month comes before May. This is the April patron poll pick. So if you are a part of our Patreon, if you even donate just $1, you get to help pick which topic will be one of our episodes for next month. Mm-hmm. So Tales Gets Trolled was our first one. Now we're doing this, and we really appreciate our patrons. And we have a pretty tight tie right now going on our Patreon. So if that's something you might be interested in checking out, give us $1 and vote. Yeah. And also
$1 doesn't seem like a lot, maybe, but if 5 people give us $1 every month, that's $5, and like that helps hugely. It allows us to cover things like our hosting fees, our storage. It allows us to get better equipment in the near future, all sorts of really cool things.
Also, if we hit the next goal, you will be getting a bonus episode from yours truly about the theology and religion of Neopets, which I know will maybe be interesting to like 3 people, but I'm ready to pop off. I'm very ready, and I'm very excited.
And those bonus episodes with like the Patreon funding goals, those go out to everyone. So like we are this week at some point, we're going to release a bonus episode that will be exclusive to patrons $1 and up.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be our little book club talking about what it's like reading Interview with the Vampire and some of the weird stuff going on in that. And then, for patrons $5 and up, you get access to an episode of a totally different podcast with Teese and I every month called Show and Tell, where we just talk about things that we love and why we love them.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Teese, it's a Patreon chosen episode today.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
We are talking about the Parappa the Rapper scam, which is a lot more different than what I thought actually happened, which is pretty cool, I guess, in researching. So, Cass, do you have any exposure to Parappa the Rapper at all? Know anything about it? Or just like secondhand knowledge from me talking about it?
I know it's a rhythm game.
Yeah.
We actually haven't talked about it I forgot to listen to the album. God damn it.
It's okay. Don't worry. It's okay.
I'll listen to it later. But,
oh my gosh, please, yeah.
It was a rhythm game that I feel like I always saw on like the TV at GameStop for like the PS2. And I think Parappa is a little dog and he wears a little beanie that's like loose and some like some big Jenko jean.
There's a frog on his hat. Yeah.
I didn't know there was a frog on his hat. I just remember him being like a little puppy.
He is a little puppy.
That's it. That's it.
Okay. So close enough, good enough, yeah. Parappa the Rapper was a PlayStation game that was released in 1996 in Japan and then was brought worldwide in 1997. And it's about a dog who raps, and the game is only about like an hour long, but it's 6 stages, and each round in each song is about solving problems. So for instance, he gets his driver's license in one, he's on a reality TV show in another, he has to pee really bad at a gas station, stuff like that. So it's like a super beloved game, and it's just the culture that surrounds it. So like the music obviously is really iconic, and the character designs, I've actually met the character designer before, which is so fucking cool. And there's just like a lot of nostalgia that surrounds the game. And this game even has a sequel, which is Parappa 2, which was a PS2 game, I think came out in 2001, 2002-ish. And then there's also Jammer Scammy, which is another PlayStation game. It has an anime, there's some chapter books, there's some really fun merch for it, like a toy car that actually is a record player needle, and it sits on top of the records, and then it will play the record from a speaker that's in the toy car. Yeah, it's really fun. And there's like even a toaster that will imprint Parappa's face on the toast for you. And this game just is like a huge fucking cult following. I mean, I'm a really big fan. I have a Parappa Eat-A bag. Like I've said, I've met Ron Greenblatt before. Like, Parappa is something I'm just really into. It's one of my favorite games, and partially the reason why it is because of some of the nostalgia that surrounds it. And I'm the first one to admit that like the controls of the game suck, so it doesn't really like play that well. And you can actually play it for the PS4, but they didn't change the syncing mechanism of the original game, so it is just fucking impossible to play no matter what system you play it on. And Jammer Scammy is unfortunately like that too, if not actually a little bit harder. And Parappa 2 is easy. I could literally play the whole thing in one shot. But if you don't know anything about Parappa, just listen to the music. It's really charming. You'll get the gist of it by just listening to the music.
Do I know why we stopped the car? Yes. What? I forgot to close the door. You forgot to close the door. Now just don't forget, this ain't Kung Fu. Come on again.
And when I first started researching this, and when I suggested this for the Patreon poll, I kind of had like this vague idea that this was actually like a Kickstarter scam that happened, because I knew it had something to do with a scam and the voice actor of Parappa. So for some reason in the back of my mind, I assumed this was like a Kickstarter that happened to fund the second season of the anime to be dubbed, because I think only the first half of the anime is dubbed and stuff like that. So I was like, that has to be it, blah, blah, blah. But when I researched this, I discovered that the stakes of this was even less dramatic than a Kickstarter scam, and it was way less money than we would even think to complain about to this degree. And honestly, I'm impressed that this even went on for 2 years. And granted, technically it's still going on because this never came to a close. And
delightful.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. This really sucks. Like this, when I was reading this, I was just like, damn, like if this happened to me, I'd be so goddamn beefed. And without further ado, let's get to the story after I take a sip of my Gatorade.
Now, what flavor of Gatorade are you having?
Fruit punch, and it is the opaque red, not the weird clear red. 2 college students, Jacob Ryan Collins and Cameron Perry, are 2 friends who are working on a MEP, as we know, multi-editor project. See, using vocabulary we learned from the podcast. To
check out our AMV episode for more on MEPs.
To celebrate the release of PlayStation All-Stars, which was a fighting game. So that's maybe where you probably saw Parappa from at GameStop. No? Okay.
No. I specifically remember it was like this little dog in the center of the screen, just like doing his little thing.
He just dances.
Do we know what breed of dog Parappa is?
He's just a little boy.
He's just a little boy.
I don't know if he has an official breed or not. There's
mutt.
He's a dog. Yeah. His parents are like mutt looking too. So this was to celebrate the release of PlayStation All-Stars, which is a fighting game that includes all of our favorite classic PlayStation characters, such as Sackboy from Little Big Planet, Big Daddy from BioShock, Parappa the Rapper himself, Raiden from Metal Gear Solid is there, and Fat Princess from the beloved game, Fat Princess.
Yeah, PlayStation All-Stars was a bad attempt to try and capture the lightning in the bottle of Super Smash Bros.
100%.
And, did not work out well.
Nathan Drake is there. You know what? Honestly, is there even a PlayStation All-Stars like fighting scene? Because like I know a lot of games stand the test of time, but I wonder if PlayStation.
I think there
All-Stars
was briefly, but I don't know that it's persisted. But I don't know.
I'll ask all of my friends who are into fighting games. They could probably tell me.
Yeah.
But obviously the game didn't really have a lasting effect. But like people were obviously excited for this game when it was coming out, you know? Mm-hmm. So to celebrate, these 2 guys and several others were in the works making a animation project to celebrate the game. And these 2 guys decided specifically to work on the Parappa the Rapper portion of the video. And since they were already a part of a Parappa the Rapper fan page on Facebook, the 2 of them reached out to Dred Foxx, who was the voice of Parappa the Rapper. The 2 of them kind of messaged him on Facebook. They explained the fan project and how they were hoping to include him in the Parappa segment. And Dred Foxx was like pretty cool about it. And they were really relieved because it was like, this is a guy that we look up to. This is a series that we really, really love. We've had small interactions with him already because he runs this fan page. Let's see if he'll do it. And he responds, you know, and he's like, yeah, sure. Usually I work around for $100, but you guys seem really cool. You've been really upfront. You've been really nice. Scrounge up anywhere from $50 to $75. Like it's only 7 to 8 lines.
On like a non-commercial project.
Yeah. It was for a fan thing. Like I know pretty often if people, like I know what's that one site, Cameo. Like a lot of people do stuff via Cameo now. Like this was before Cameo. And I mean, but if you probably ask nicely, just like with academics, like if you ask an academic, hey, can I have your can I read your paper? They'll send it to you for free. And that's
because most of the time they're not making money off of journals, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is kind of the same situation. Like how often do you get to really interact personally with your fans this way to be a part of something that your voice, you know what I mean? So like, I get it, you know, he was being cool about it in theory.
But may I also remind everyone, harkening back to our wonderful parasocial relationship episode, voice actors aren't the people who make these characters.
Yeah.
They're not the writers. God. They're not the original designers. They're not the people who made this character that you love so much. They just happen to lend the voice to them. And, you know, obviously sometimes that does change. There are some VAs who are more involved in the process. But generally speaking, it is the writers behind the scenes who are making the characters that you love and adore so much.
Exactly. So the negotiations were completely done on Facebook. The 2 had Dred's word that they would get their lines by the end of the weekend. And between the 2 of them, they both put in $30 and sent him $60. And me being somebody who works as a freelance writer on the side, this kind of felt unprofessional from an outsider's perspective, because they wired Dred Foxx the money via Western Union, because Dred Foxx claimed that his PayPal was inactive, and he was like, just send it through Western Union, just send it through Western Union. There was no fees, there was no invoice, none of that. And they kind of were just like in good faith hoping that he would just pull through when they sent him these $60. And they were college students, and this was like a chill fan-made parody video. It was nothing serious. They were just like excited. Once the parasocial relationship kicked in, they were just excited that Parappa's voice actor was down for it. And quite literally in the blog that I use as the source, they mentioned over and over again, we relied too heavily on the spirit of Parappa. And I was like, okay, like, I get it. Like, we all get wrapped up in these things, you know? And this is unfortunately when the stringing along starts to begin. And a week after they hash out the first official details, they get a message from Dred Foxx.
What's up, man? Yo, I'm ready to record these lines, but I have to record on YouTube, and you should be able to upload or MP3 from there. My Geek Squad needs another component or something, plus he's leaving for a couple of weeks. I'm trying to have this for you today or tomorrow since I'm about to travel this week, a little promoting the game. Small problem though, my management found out I was doing this and she stated that the fee should be $100 because I'm signed to AFTRA Union, which is the American Foundation for Television and Radio Artists, and I'm on a scale pay. $100 for under 10 minutes, $200 for 10 to 20 minutes, and so forth. I could care less, but it's stated in my contract and I have to show receipts for all side projects. Politics, but it's to protect the artist's interests. Plus, she gets 20%. There's no problem for me to participate in this, which I want to and will, but I still have to follow contractuals. Can't breach the contract. So talk to Cameron and see if y'all can pull together $30. The Western Union fee makes $40. That'll make $100. I wouldn't charge more if it was up to me, but I gotta follow the rules. If you can send it today, it'll be finished tomorrow. I like to finish what I start and remain professional. Hit me back ASAP. I'm online for a little while now. You still have my info? Also, I need the confirmation number on the transfer. My apologies, but it's not my call. This is still my job, still got bosses. Pass this message to CP. Hope it works out. I'm sure it will.
So this feels kind of weird because, like, who did you tell? Your manager? Sony? It's kind of like a vague excuse at best. And once again, I understand union wages. I understand union contracts, all that stuff. But obviously something about this kind of feels not right because this should have been done already because it's been a week. Like, this should have been done already. And not to mention, how can your manager prove all of this is happening in the first place when there was never an invoice? And because there's no invoice, she would never get her 20% anyway. So like every single tiny little freelance gig that I've been paid for, there's been some form of signature or written agreement, whether it's via email or an actual NDA. Or so on and so forth. And I mean, obviously for you, it's clearly been the same thing too. Yeah. So it's just like,
well, like the thing is, right, like sensibly, it would seem like his management would reach out to them, you know, like that would be the natural progression for her to reach out to them with an email, state like, hey, I became aware of this. Like, I wanted to loop you in. But for one reason or another, that's not happening.
Exactly. So the two shell out the extra $40 and patiently wait for the lines. Money was sent on Tuesday. He said the line should be sent by Friday. And then Hurricane Sandy happens. I know.
You know, New Jersey is stronger than the storm.
Listen, baby. I know. So for those of you who did not live in the Northeast during Sandy, or not necessarily, just in general, don't really know, Sandy really fucked up New York City bad. I mean, I was in school.
I mean, it fucked up the whole East Coast.
Yeah, true.
I live in Pennsylvania. I was in Bucks County, and like most of my like the local high schools were like out of school for a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Which like not even close to the shore, baby.
Yeah, I was in Connecticut, and it knocked out power throughout the whole entire town surrounding me. I actually had to go into the gym and sleep on the gym in a cot, even though the actual power at my school did not go out. So fun stuff. And like even my hometown in New Jersey, which is like nowhere near the ocean. We're actually by the Arthur Kill, out of all things.
Mm-hmm.
The power was out for 4 days, and
Yeah.
luckily my town was one of the faster towns to regain power. People were out power
Yeah.
for weeks, and especially New York City, which isn't necessarily ready for a hurricane like that.
No, it's
The
not.
city was covered in sand. People were without power, heat, water for
The
weeks.
subways were flooded. People
Exactly.
couldn't get anywhere. And like,
Yeah,
I think the
people were
really
stranded.
nasty thing with Sandy too was like, it wasn't just rain, it was rain and snow.
Yes.
So it was just like a really nasty mix. And like
Mhm.
the New York City subway system has to pump out, I think it's something like, it's somewhere between 10,000 to 100,000 gallons of water a day. And that's not even on a rainy day. That's just on a natural day from like water naturally flowing into the subway. So you can imagine when there's like a huge spike in precipitation, it is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. So whether or not Dred's home and belongings were destroyed, we're not really certain, but I'm going to just give him the benefit of the doubt in this situation because Sandy was not fun for anybody, you know, and it now, though, became an excuse to not give Cameron and Jacob their lines, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, all things considered, the two were pretty patient about everything, but Dred has been vague and stories weren't starting to match up every time they would kind of check up with him. Because at this point, like, it was still... Sandy happened, like, what, September, October-ish, I'd say?
Yeah, I think October.
And the game was coming out in November, so they still had time to get these lines and to do this, you know? And Dred just kept coming up with weirder and weirder stories. Like, he said that he did the lines already, but then lost them from his laptop on Sandy, which, like, why weren't they uploaded once they were done, you know? And then he was like, he needs to record physically in the Bronx, but he only has an iPad and no longer has a computer, which also doesn't make sense because what does that have to do with you recording if you're using somebody else's equipment? Things just weren't adding up. And eventually... Fox just like continues to dance into weirder and weirder situations. Like, for instance, he claims that his iPad got stolen at Irving Plaza at a Public Enemy show, which I mean knows nothing to a lot of people, but for people who are familiar with New York City concert venues or even with Public Enemy in general, which is a 80s, 90s rap group, it's kind of laughable because, like, why would you even bring this to a concert venue in the first place? Just take pictures and videos on your phones. Like,
there
don't
are
do that.
people who use their iPad exclusively for taking photos and videos, which is so
It's
hysterical
so
to me because
weird.
you see someone just lift up this giant iPad and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like, what are you, a boomer? I'm sorry, but I mean, shout out to everybody who does it, but also, like, it's kind of funny, you gotta admit it, you know? And suddenly, like, his PayPal is reactivated again, so people can fundraise him a new iPad or a new laptop. And all of these things are just slowly looping back to him asking for money, no matter what. Like, it's always a matter of time, like, oh, this tragedy happened. Oh, I'm in surgery. Oh, I have to go visit my family. Like, dude, it would take 10 to 15 minutes if you just do it, you know?
Yeah, and it's like you want to give somebody the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah,
but it's
exactly.
like when it just keeps happening over and over again and it's like there's money floating in the air, you just become naturally, I think, pretty dubious. And it's like, if you just said, hey, I don't have the time, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But to really just like share a lot of excuses, I think generally just makes people,
Yeah. At this point, project is dead and gone. Lines were never received. And Cameron and Jacob are beginning to truly go from thinking they've been scammed to knowing they've been scammed. And as Cameron Perry puts it on his blog, this isn't just Parappa the scammer anymore. This is full on Jammer Scammy, which is funny to me. Those are the two game names. And this has been going on for 3 months now. At this point, Cameron's like, fuck this. I'm just going to enjoy my winter break, which I appreciate. I've been there too, you know. And suddenly, out of the blue, he gets a message from Dred Foxx in January. And he crawls into the messages like, what's up, Cam? I owe you guys a project. Are y'all still doing what we planned? I still got the script. I can upload from my new phone. Finally. If you want or I can do something y'all can use, let me know. I'll upload tomorrow. Use me for something, but not too advanced, using the data and storage on an Android, LOL. And Cameron responds, like any other sane person would, I asked you for a refund on November 27th. It is now almost 4 months later. If you don't refund me the $100 I originally sent you by this Sunday, that's March 17th, 2013, then I'm going to start discussing my legal options with a lawyer relative. I don't really want to have to go that far, but at this point, I don't really have much choice. And I mean, can you blame him? Like,
$100 isn't nothing.
Yeah,
that's
no,
a pretty
like,
significant chunk of change.
It is, especially because like they split it too. So that's like what, $50, $60 each, depending on fees and stuff like that. Like that could be like $100.
So many Chipotle bowls.
So many Chipotle bowls, so many chicken nuggets. But $100 could get you a textbook for a class if it's one of the cheaper ones, or if it's a PDF.
Yeah, if it's a cheaper
textbook. If it's a cheaper textbook, or if it's a PDF. That's a good chunk of groceries, you know. That's even technically a parking pass for the school year, you know. Like that's a lot of money, especially for a college student and you don't work and like you're financially dependent on your family or side gigs that you do online. Like, come on, man, like that's money, you know. That's money. And obviously Dred Foxx kind of takes this as a threat, and it goes about as good as anybody expects it to. And this whole time, oh my God, I just realized we didn't talk about the stuff that we watched this week. Whoopsies.
That's fine.
Anyway, it's fine. This whole time, Cameron and Jacob have been kind of playing good cop, bad cop. So Dred says that Jacob will get $25 to $35 returned to him by next week, and Cameron gets nothing. Which is like, why $25 to $35? It was $100 fucking dollars. At least give him the 50, 60. Like, it's such an insult. It's adding insult to injury, you know? And he doesn't even send that money, of course. So time passes. Things have died down. 2 months later, I guess Cameron shit talking to a friend about this. And the friend makes all of this information public on the Parappa the Rapper fan page. And people on the Parappa fan page are not happy about this.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know. So unfortunately, Dred Foxx's fans are pretty divided that this actually even happened in the first place. But for the most part, this is just kind of like Facebook drama. So I'm not going to give you guys the blow by blow, you know. It's not going to... There we go. I'm not gonna blah, blah, blah. But it's pretty much just people calling each other idiots and assholes, asking for proof. Proof is given. Yeah. People are like, oh my God, this actually happened. Like, yeah, no shit. Why would you lie about $100? Of all things, like, not even $1,000, $100, you know? And, like, even Dred Foxx's brother gets involved, and he's like, my brother would never lie. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? So, Dred Foxx eventually does step in to talk about this and boldly says, Cass, you want to read this one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah!
Cameron Perry. Things happen. You're upset because you can capitalize off my market by attaching your name to me. I cut you a break when I told you my lawyer suggested I don't do it, but I was willing to help you gain a name for yourself, and when it didn't happen, you got your panties in a bunch. I told you I would make good and give you more worth than $100 on a future project, but you blew it. You could have had a friend in PTR. Not anymore. I'll talk to you, boy with the patience, Jacob Collins. Also, why do you type long-winded messages? No small boy can tarnish this legend. Think about how many celebs gotta read negative crap, but the game don't change. Out of 500 million fans, you can't please all. This is my final response. I got a Parappa album to finish for my real family. Nuff said.
I want to preface this by saying that a lot of Dred Foxx's messages end with like a ... one love, one peace, nuff said, I gotta believe, shit like that, you know. It's corny, it's hokey, you know. But if anybody's wondering, Dred Foxx has 53 monthly listeners on Spotify, and from a quick YouTube search,
just gotta drag him, huh, Teese?
I sure do. The people need to know the facts. One song under a different stage name has about 20,000 views. Also, there's no way in hell that there's even 500 million Parappa the Rapper fans, because the original Parappa only sold about 2 million copies when it first came out for the PS1. Oof. So, like, what are you even talking about, you know? And also, this mysterious Parappa the Rapper album never happened. And nor will it ever happen, because Dred Foxx doesn't own this character. Fox is always constantly trying to keep this dream of Parappa the Rapper 3 alive, but also that's not going to happen, especially because I think in 2017, it was 2017, 2018, there was a Kickstarter for a spiritual successor of Parappa. It was a lot of the same team, a lot of the same kind of style of rhythm game playing, and it did not even make its goal on Kickstarter. So Dred Foxx is really a bullshitter through and through. And unfortunately, in the end, Cameron and Jacob never got back their 100. Cameron is blocked by Dred Foxx, and Dred claims that he's going to take Cameron to small claims court for $5,000. And
why?
I find that hard to believe, because it's like, wouldn't it just be cheaper to refund the $100 or cut your losses at this point? Like, this is such a pride thing, and it's ridiculous. And if you want to read like all the nitty-gritty details, there is Cameron's blog. So unfortunately, it is only Cameron's thoughts. There's some of Jacob's screenshots, and then screenshots from other friends, because after Cameron was obviously blocked, he couldn't screenshot anything. So by like the fourth post, he's like, okay, so I'm just depending on other people. But if you're interested in it, you could just Google Parappa the Scammer, but it hasn't been updated since May of 2014. So we don't really know what happened after May of 2014, but apparently Dred Foxx wanted to, or did, I don't know, take Cameron Perry in specific to small claims court for $5,000, which is like, why are you doing this? Why? You know? And I just feel like at the end of the day, what we should take from this is just get an invoice. Don't rely on strangers. Like, the goodness of, never rely on the kindness of strangers. Always get an invoice. Always keep a copy of your NDAs. Be smart about protecting yourself, because also down the road, if you do enough of this is taxable. So like, you have to have a paper trail. And obviously
you need to have a paper trail.
You have to. Yeah. And in a court, like in small claims court, this probably would hold up, because there was a verbal agreement that they were going to do this. They sent this. This is what this money was for. However, when there's not set in stone paperwork the way that we're supposed to have, it kind of does blend the line. And if Dred Foxx miraculously has this great lawyer, he may be able to weasel himself out of it. But be smart. Get an invoice.
Get an invoice. Make sure that you're not communicating with people through DMs. Like, I see that as like the number one.
Emails.
Emails. Like, please,
emails,
please use emails. Emails are searchable. Emails are traceable. You know, it is a much safer practice, and like, it is far more organized. And like, I understand the impulse, right, is to just do what's easy. Just take the DMs on Twitter or what have you. But like, that will cause such a massive headache for you later down the road. Like, as soon as somebody contacts you about wanting to do work, you say, hi, here's my business email. Please contact me formally through this, you know.
Emails also give a really good way for you to get contact information that isn't just an email. I've literally had to call personal cell phones before to get money from freelance gigs. Yeah. I've done it. And that was the only way how I got that money, you know? And just like, you got to protect yourself. And I mean, you want to do this stuff, but like, you have to protect yourself. So those are my 2 cents. And granted, this whole thing is just about $100. Yeah. Ridiculous.
But $100 is a lot of money. $100 can make the difference for your rent. $100 can feed you for 2 weeks.
Exactly. $100 is more than my phone bill. That would take care of my phone bill and the minimum amount I need on my laptop bill. Like, easily, you know, like, it's $100 is a lot, and that adds up. That's like,
I think the one thing, like, there's this saying, right, where it's like $100 isn't a lot to have, but it's a lot to owe.
Yes, that is a very good thing to say.
It sucks because like all they wanted to do was like make a fun AMV, right? And they were willing to spot some of their own cash, and like the experience was totally ruined for them. And I would find it hard to believe that this didn't ruin Parappa for them too. You know,
definitely it just sucks. Did. Yeah, and like not to mention the project didn't go through partially because they couldn't get their stuff like together in time. Yeah. And I mean, probably there was other things that were going on at the time. I mean, there are college students. Lord knows there was probably something like that. They had a final or a project or something like that. But still, that's a lot of time and a lot of energy wasted. And you know, it just sucks. Sucks. Yeah.
Also, if you're doing things for people, I know this might seem counterintuitive to the story we just shared. Get paid up front. Get a deposit if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're gonna set aside time for people, and like, I'm thinking specifically of like artists taking commissions right now, but like I've had to do this on numerous gigs, whether it's like I'm script doctoring or what have you. Eskel's going buck wild, but you make sure that you have alternate forms of contact for people, which again is just reiterating what T shared before. Like, make sure you have multiple paths of contact for people. Only utilize the email if at all possible, but make sure that if this person just ghosts or disappears, like, you have other ways of getting in touch with them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. If you liked this episode, say the words.
If you enjoyed this episode, maybe consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi. Ko-fi's great for like a one-time donation if you enjoyed the episode and want to just throw a couple bucks our way. We are Authors Note Pod on both of those platforms, and we talked about the Patreon benefits at the head of this episode, so I'm not going to, rail you with them again. Consider maybe subscribing to our YouTube page, even if you don't listen to us on YouTube. We hit 100 subscribers over there, and we have like an alarming amount of views over there, especially on some videos.
The YouTube is popping off. If you want to actually have conversations with people, like, fuck a Discord server. Just talk to people on our YouTube channel, man. If you do make a Discord server, though, I will not be joining, but I would love to hear about it so we could promote it for you guys.
Maybe, if you're cool.
Maybe.
But yeah, always be kind and respectful to each other, and, we'll be kind and respectful to you. I think we said last episode, we don't really reply to comments on YouTube just because we don't want to end up like Anne Rice, but also it's just like, it further complicates things for us. But we do really love seeing those comments, and we do read every single one of them and appreciate them so much. Like, thank you guys. Don't do freelance gigs through Venmo unless you really, really, really trust your client.
Literally, only do it like your friends. That's it. And even then, don't always trust your friends.
If you know Joe Biden's Venmo, request the stimulus. Did you see that? They found his private Venmo account.
No.
Yeah. And they're like, this is a security risk.
I mean, I love when he first got elected, they were like, he has a Peloton. It's a security risk. And I was like, okay, let's go, Peloton. Sure is.
Yeah. You can find us on Twitter at Authors Note Pod. We're pretty much under that handle everywhere across the internet. If you want to reach out to us more directly, you can hit us up on our email. That's authorsnotepod@gmail.com. If you want to find more of my work, I am Cass, and you can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet at Valhethella. That's VALHETHELLA. Teese, if people want to find more of you, where can they get you at?
My name is Teese, and you could follow me at Vicuña. That's VICUNAD on Twitter. If you liked our theme music, that was by James Yaiullo, and you could find him on Bandcamp under James Y. If you want to support him, make sure you buy on Friday. Shout out to Bandcamp Friday. And Cass, who did our cover art?
Our cover art is done by the wonderful Nyaliest. You can find her on Twitter at Nyaliest. It's NYALLIEST. And she recently ended up on, I think it's the Aether Cryptids Twitter page for just wild folks in Final Fantasy XIV. And it wasn't a submission. This person found her in the wild.
Oh,
Shout
my
out,
God.
Rat Baby.
Thank you, Rat Baby.
Love you, Rat Baby. All right. Until next time, make sure you take all contact information via email, get yourself written up an invoice, make sure you sign any contracts or NDAs and always keep records of those. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and stay safe. Bye!
Bye!